This week, is Zac Lomax coming back to the NRL? Welcome to the Sports Playbook. I am Daniel, and we are Australia's weekly sports news podcast covering men's and women's sport. So let's get up to speed with everything that happened this week in sports and everything coming up this weekend. In football, Spain have knocked off France. Going into this game, France were heavy favourites. France were looking to go straight into their third straight World Cup final. But Spain, they had other plans. They have marched through to the FIFA World Cup Final. For Spain, they won this game 2-0. And for France, it wasn't to be. As we record this podcast on Wednesday, the 15th of July at 6:30 p.m, Argentina will play England in the other semi-final. And the winner of England against Argentina will go on to play Spain in the final. In rugby league, Jarome Luai has officially signed to the Parramatta Eels. It's absolutely official now, but Jarome Luai will be a Parramatta Eel in 2027. Where does this all come from? The West Tigers officially confirmed that Luai would be leaving the club at the end of 2026. So what does that mean? Luai has only fulfilled 2 years of a 5-year contract, and this all came about because Jarome signed with the PNG Chiefs for the 2028 season, player 001. Now, what's interesting here for the Parramatta Eels is Luai will now link up with Mitch Moses, and this halves combination is one that people can get around from New South Wales in particular, because Jarome played with Mitch Moses back in the 2024 State of Origin series. They only played 2 games together, but those 2 games set up the New South Wales Blues to win that series. They won the decider at Suncorp Stadium. Whilst they have a great history together, one thing is key here. And for Jason Ryles, he will be judged on this signing because Ryles only has a 3-year contract. And if this Luai experiment doesn't work, where does Jason Ryles and the Parramatta Eels go to from here? So one to watch for Parramatta fans, as there's a lot of mixed emotions around this signing. In swimming, Shayna Jack retires from international competitive swimming. On the eve of the Commonwealth Games, Shayna Jack has announced she will retire after the Commonwealth Games has been completed. And for Shayna, she's been a part of some incredible winning teams, receiving gold at the Olympic Games, World Championships, and Commonwealth Games. For Shayna, her career has been all about defying the odds after her return from a 24-month competition ban. For Shayna, she won gold at the 2024 Paris Olympics in 2 events, the 4x100 meter freestyle relay and the 4x200 meter freestyle relay. So for Shayna, we hope that you have a fantastic Commonwealth Games and you can bring home some more gold medals before you finish up your incredible career. Also in swimming, Molly O'Callaghan reveals a spinal stress fracture. On the eve of the Commonwealth Games as well, the 22-year-old has revealed that she's been battling stress fractures in her spinal cord, and she also had shoulder concerns going into the June Australian Swimming Championships. So these swimming championships were to select the Commonwealth Games team that is going to Glasgow currently. And Molly went through the trials battling these 2 injuries, but will also go on to compete in the Commonwealth Games and the Pan-Pacific Championships that's only 2 weeks after that Commonwealth Games. For Molly O'Callaghan, she's currently lining herself up for 3 events during the Commonwealth Games. That is the 100 metre freestyle, the 200 metre freestyle, and the 50 metre backstroke. So this is one to watch for Swimming Australia fans and Australian fans in general, as Molly might not be at 100% peak going into the Commonwealth Games, but Molly is an absolute superstar. This will be really interesting to see how Molly pulls up post the Commonwealth Games and the Pan-Pacific Championships. In netball, the New South Wales Swifts appoint a new head coach. Last Friday, the New South Wales Swifts announced that Bryony Akel will no longer be head coach of the New South Wales Swifts. That is after 9 years of Bryony Akel leading the Swifts. But for 2027, they have gone for a new coach and a new direction. That new coach is Dylan Nexet. For Dylan, he was the assistant coach under Bryony Akel in 2025 and also in 2026. And for Dylan, his resume speaks for himself. For Dylan, he was the Australian Kelpies captain, which is the Australian men's netball team. And Dylan is also a great analyst when it comes to netball. But the big thing that came from Netball New South Wales' statement was the fact that Dylan was looking to innovate the New South Wales Swifts. Whilst the collective bargaining agreement hasn't been signed with the players, what will be interesting to see here is how many of the Swifts players from 2026 stay in the playing roster for 2027. So if you're a Swifts fan or a Super Netball fan in general, this is one to watch. As we record this podcast, there is currently only 3 head coaches that have signed on for 2027. That is Kiri Wills from the Queensland Firebirds, Nerida Stewart from the Giants, and now Dylan Nexit, the New South Wales Swifts' new head coach. One to watch for Super Netball fans. That was this week's big stories. So now it's time to get into the talking point. And this week's talking point is in rugby league and Zac Lomax heading to the PNG Chiefs. And Danny Weidler reported this, but Zac Lomax is currently in discussion with the PNG Chiefs, the 19th team for the NRL that is coming in 2028. This is where things currently stand. Zac Lomax currently has a contract with the Western Force until the end of 2027. This is in line with when the Rugby World Cup will be played in Australia. So for Zac, he will be looking to make the Wallabies team at the home World Cup in 2027. What's interesting here is Zac actually knocked back a deal with the Melbourne Storm just recently for 2027. And this has become a big legal drama, especially with the Parramatta Eels and Melbourne Storm at the start of 2026. And this is what saw Zac go to the Western Force in rugby union. For the PNG Chiefs, they are looking to sign Zac Lomax potentially on a 2 to 3 year contract. There's one thing you can't doubt. Zac Lomax is a fantastic athlete. New South Wales Blues representative. He's represented Australia and he'll always give you 100% on the field. My only question is Zac Lomax truly the right culture fit for the PNG Chiefs? The reason why I say this is because Zac hasn't seen out his contract in the last few years. When he looked at the Dragons, he got out of that deal at the end of 2024, mainly because he wasn't happy with the coach at the time being Shane Flanagan. He then went to the Parramatta Eels under a 4-year contract, but left only 1 year into that deal. And for the PNG Chiefs, their general manager, Michael Chammas, went on to Mark Boris's podcast. The one thing he pointed out is he wants players that are right for the culture for the PNG Chiefs, fundamentally creating a great foundation. Because one thing is key here compared to every other NRL team. All the players will be staying together and their families. So if you aren't the right culture fit, you will stand out like a sore thumb. So will Zac Lomax, if he goes to the PNG Chiefs, buy into the culture? And if not, will this be a poor signing for the PNG Chiefs if it is locked in? While Zac and the PNG Chiefs have not released an official statement, this will be an interesting storyline going into 2026 and heading into the start of the 2028 season. One to watch for rugby league fans. That was this week's big storyline. So let's head into the weekend preview. Here are some games to look forward to this weekend. Formula 1 is back. It's the Belgian Grand Prix, and this will be a very interesting race. Kimi Antonelli still holds the championship lead from George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. George and Lewis aren't quite there yet, but if Kimi Antonelli has another failure, these two will be right on Antonelli's heels and looking to catch up to the Italian. When you look back to 2025, McLaren absolutely dominated the Belgian Grand Prix, but I don't think McLaren will be there for 2026. They'll be close, but by far and away, Mercedes and Ferrari are top of that pecking order. McLaren will have an engine upgrade going into this race though. So I would say the drivers to look out for this weekend is definitely the Mercedes pairing of Kimi Antonelli and George Russell. And this is purely because they have the best engines. Whilst Ferrari have great pace, what they don't have in particular to Mercedes is straight line speed. And in football, it's the FIFA World Cup Final. This will be on Monday, the 20th of July, and in Australia, that's 5 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time. We know that Spain will be in this final, and now it's a question of England against Argentina. If it's England, everyone will be getting behind if it's coming home. But for Argentina, if they do get through to the final, this will be their chance to win back-to-back World Cups. This is definitely one to watch. It only happens every 4 years, so set your alarm clocks, Australian fans. Get behind this one. And in the third game, the Sydney Swans will play the Adelaide Crows on Friday, the 17th of July at 7:50 p.m. This is a top 6 clash. The Sydney Swans currently sit second, whilst the Adelaide Crows sit 5th on the ladder. For the Swans, they will need to bounce back after a loss to the Fremantle Dockers by over 30 points. This is one to watch on a Friday night to get into your weekend in sport. So that is your sports week sorted. So enjoy the weekend, and I'll be back on Monday with a full wrap from the weekend in sports. So until then, follow the Sports Playbook wherever you see us on social media and listen wherever you get your podcast. If you can, please send this podcast to one more person who hasn't listened to the Sports Playbook before. Fast Sport News, no noise. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next episode.